this is Cindy Bertram. Thanks for joining me today on Good Ship Happens. And once again, of course, this is Halloween, so happy Halloween. And today I'm actually your Captain Cindy, right? Gotta make it laugh, right? But I've been fortunate to meet different captains on different cruise ships over the years, including one favorite, Captain Kate McHugh. She is the first woman American captain of a cruise line ship, Celebrity Cruises, for 10 years. She stepped down last year when her cat passed away, but she's going to be captain of the new Four Seasons yacht coming out in March next year. So anyway, that's fantastic. So it's kind of fun to kind of share positive stories about great people I've interacted with over the years too, and a lot of good things going on. But also, I will mention some things too as far as what has been coming up with Hurricane Melissa, which hit so bad. But let me share some other things first too. Okay, first of all, Amo Waterways just launched their second river cruise ship in Colombia. Yes. And earlier this year, their Ama Magdalena actually debuted on the Magdalena River in Colombia, and it was their first river cruise destination, which is great too. And it was a great response. The ship is called Ama Magdalena. That was launched earlier this year, and what they did was the other ship is the Ama Melodia. I think it's pronounced Ama Melodia. They just welcomed that ship to the Amores fleet, and she just accommodates 64 guests and staterooms that range anywhere from 237 square feet to 318 square feet, featuring twin balconies. And the vessel's design operations are really, really, I think, a deep appreciation for the Colombia culture too. And what they did was it's got handcrafted decor by local artisans, also cuisine that really celebrates regional ingredients, and it really embodies the spirit of the country and people. And the might be Melodia is operating 2 7-night itineraries exploring the rich biodiversity, music, cuisine, and history that define the Magdalena River Valley, which is great too. And they've got, with this one too, they kind of really reach out as far as their destination immersion. And what they do is they actually connect authentic with local culture, with experiences such as a private performance in Barranquilla Carnival, which is great. Something else they mentioned was a jazz concert in Mompox, a visit to, I think it's pronounced Palomquia. It's the first free town in Americas. And these encounters really, really provide enriched guest experiences too, but also directly support the artisans, musicians, and the guides too. And Waterways is really committed to sustainable tourism and cultural exchange. And they're recognized by ProColombia, which work with Waterways to really bring this river cruise project to life too. And the Magdalena River is a symbol of national identity and a hub for sustainable development too, and seeing how local river tourism is thriving, which is really, really great too. So definitely keep in mind too, because once again, they just launched their second ship in the Magdalena River in Colombia. That's really, really fun. That's Ama Waterways. They've been around for 23 years. Amazing company, and Ama means love, of course, and Waterways, and it's really, really great because once again, their first ship, which just started sailing on the Magdalena Rivers earlier this year, was their other ship, and then their new ship, the I think it's pronounced let's see, I think it's pronounced Ama Melodia. The first ship was actually the Ama Magdalena too, great too. So once again, the options for seeing about where you want to cruise, because once again, they're the only river cruise line that actually sails there too, and they're embracing, which is really great too. They're embracing really local culture, beautiful things too. So definitely keep that in mind too. Something else I'll share too is we've got Victory Cruise Lines just relaunched. They just launched earlier this year with doing the river cruises on the Great Lakes. Okay, and what they did was they launched their Great Lakes cruises back in the spring. I was on the first sailing of the Victory One, and they just finished sailing with their two ships. Of course, they're not going to be sailing there in the wintertime right now. They're going to reposition the ships elsewhere. But also, another cruise line that's very well known as far as river cruising options too is American Cruise Lines. What they're doing is they're going to actually be cruising the Great Lakes in 2026 too, which is great too. Their newest ship, the American Patriot, is going to reposition next summer for their USA only cruises in the five Great Lakes, which is great too. And their itineraries include it's a 9-day Great Lakes Thousand Islands cruise, the 9-day Lake Michigan Upper Peninsula cruise. Also got a 14-day American Great Lakes cruise. And each itinerary is going to perfect the balance of exciting excursions and also time spent cruising these magnificent lakes, which is they're very, very pretty too. And also, like I said, all these itineraries will begin and remain in the United States, okay? Making a passport and an international flight unnecessary too, which is great too. And like I said, they're going to be docking at small towns, which is great too. And you can actually start reserving your staterooms by November 21st, okay? This year for next year, but keep it in mind, American Cruise Lines is actually launching American's Great Lakes cruises too. So keep in mind too, and that's great too. Something else I want to share too is we've got cruise lines have brand ambassadors, okay? Not for that, but they've got usually famous people or spokespeople that are their ambassadors, but they just picked a wonderful brand ambassador for Sea Cloud Cruises, okay? Sea Cloud Cruises has been around for a bit. I have had a chance to meet one of their executives, and Sea Cloud Cruises actually appointed a new brand ambassador, okay? The brand ambassador is actually a veteran luxury cruise leader, William Bill Smith. He's their brand ambassador for North America. Okay, I met him several times. He was president for Cruise Lines over the years. Great person. And what he's doing, he's really bringing back his expertise and influence and close ties with luxury travel sellers from a career that really included his being senior vice president of sales and marketing for Crystal Cruises. Also, he's a president of Sea Cruises, and also he's going to be working very, very closely with Sea Cloud Cruises North America president, CEO Merle, I think pronounced Reeves, and also their chief sales officer, Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is actually his son, and I met him several times too. What they're doing is, as a brand ambassador, he's going to be really elevating the brand in awareness and deepen the engagement with global travel advisors and guests too. And what's great too is sometimes, I know you can talk about brand ambassadors, okay, what's that? But anyway, sometimes a cruise line might choose a movie star or maybe a famous athlete or ambassadors, but they don't understand the product too maybe. And like, so what's great too is, like I said, with William Bill Smith being the brand ambassador for Sea Cloud Cruises, it's really, really great because once again, he is actually the father of Kevin Smith, who is their chief sales officer, which is great. And Kevin Sherman, I met him several times. Kevin is great. I knew his dad a long time ago, but also Kevin mentioned, my dad is a very well respected in this space. He is a great addition to the True brand and brings much value to the organization, the trade community, our partners, and the organizations he's worked with for always been end up in the best of the best too, which is great too. So Bill Smith is going to represent Sea Cloud on road shows and familiarization trips, host webinars with their CSO, establish an advisory board, and develop loyalty and top advisor programs. He's also going to be spending time with the guests to better understand their perceptions, give feedback too. And as mentioned, Bill Smith, whose last post was actually leading cruise and specialty products with the luxury consortium Virtuoso, said he was lured out of retirement, which he spent sailing and living aboard his own 55-foot yacht by this unique opportunity to be the brand that really has such a great history too. And he mentioned, I'm looking forward to telling the story to Virtuoso Signature and Ensemble Groups too, which is great too. Once again too is, it's great too is, it's really, really great that he's coming back from retirement, which is great too. And as far as other things about Bill Smith, you know, he mentioned he's been involved with the attention by the detail as far as what the founder of Sea Cloud Cruises has done. Really, really taking a whole new level too, which is great too. And Bill Smith raved about the food, of course. Highlight was being a lunch buffet where the chefs carved sashimi from a huge, freshly caught yellowfin tuna, even, but just different great things too. And he said, I can sit all day watching the crew work these ropes and scurry up to the mast too, which is great too. And he said, having spent 30 years on sailboats, give him a really great affinity with Sea Cloud passengers too. And as mentioned, as their new brand ambassador, Bill Smith will be joining their CSO during the TravelVisor Masterclass webinars, a series that Kevin, his son, developed and leads. Also be hosting an intimate dinner for key travel partners in New York City next month, and then also a road show will be in next year. That'll be taking place in different places too. And what's great too is for Bill Smith, he's going to craft an advisory board and loyalty programs, things he successfully has done in the past in his previous roles, working at different cruise lines in different roles too. And also he's going to probably host a couple of special familiarization cruises too. And as mentioned, he's proud of many of the awards that his alma mater, Crystal and Several Seas, actually did achieve too. And he mentioned Sea Cloud win those awards too. And a good note too is it's called Like Father, Like Son. Okay. Kevin noted that the most important thing he's learned from his father, Bill, is the importance of people and how you treat them. It's a team effort. Like his, affable dad, he said he engages with everyone equally. I met him a couple times. He does. He's really great too. From the chiefs, the reservation staff, to the engine room crew too. And Kevin said, selfishly, I wanted to work my father and get him back in with the advisors, okay? Adding that bringing in Bill Smith as brand ambassador really speaks volumes about the owners and their investment in North America too. And then Kevin said, there's just one hitch, okay? What's the one hitch that Kevin shared about his dad? He says, okay, now the problem of cruising with Bill, who's packing the most clothes, Kevin said, we're doing wardrobe changes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I packed 7 sports coats this cruise. I'm only on for 4 days. So that's kind of fun, isn't it? But just congratulations, Bill Smith. I'm so glad you're back from retirement, because I met him right before he's going to retire. He's a really great person too. So that's really fun too, isn't it? Because I love this, like father, like son. Great people. So fun. So just want to share that too. That's really fun too. And then something else I want to share too is we got really great ships coming up soon too, of course, this year. We've got, we still have the new, it's the Celebrity Excel that's coming out in November this year. That's Celebrity Cruises' new ship. That's coming out in November. And it's got different things, of course, too. That's coming out November 18th, and that's with Celebrity Cruises. Celebrity Excel, it's XCEL, and that's the final ship of their Edge Class series. But also, they just announced last week that they've got their new ships coming out. One's going to be called Excite, XCITE. I love that name because, once again, you can tell cruise lines excite me, but have a cruise ship called Celebrity Excite. I love that name. That is phenomenal. It's so exciting, isn't it? It's great too. And we've also got another ship coming out too. The Four Seasons Yachts coming out next spring in March of next year. And that's got a really fantastic captain coming back on their ship, Captain Kate McHugh. She was with Celebrity Cruises for 10 years. She was the first woman American captain of a cruise line ship. She worked in different cruise lines, moved up being captain after Celebrity Cruises pulled her in, and she is going to be captain of the Four Seasons Yachts coming out. The Four Seasons one coming out next year. That's Four Seasons Yachts new cruise line too, and that's going to be coming out next year in, I think, March. So that's really fun too. Okay, and then we got also, let's see, as far as another ship coming out too, I think we've got, Disney Destiny's coming out in November. Okay, the Brilliant Lady just debuted in September. And then we've got also the Star Princess. That's Princess Cruises' new ship too. And then Disney Adventures coming out in December. We've got new ships coming out, of course, in 2026, 2027, 2028, more ships. But also, one thing I want to talk about more today, too, is Hurricane Melissa hit so hard, okay? And what comes up, too, is people say, what happens on a cruise ship? Okay, what they do is cruise ships can actually navigate out of the waters. Cruise lines will actually, they're proactive, and they can actually immediately change their itineraries, too, as needed. They repositioned their ships, okay? For instance, what they did was when Hurricane Melissa is coming through, Royal Caribbean, their Icon Seas, on the 27th of October, earlier this week, rerouted their Eastern Caribbean itinerary to the Western Islands to avoid the worst hit areas, too. And MSC Cruises, their World America ship, they rerouted it from East to Western Caribbean. Also, Disney Wish and Disney Treasure also changed their itineraries this week to avoid the hurricane. And then, of course, too, is they mentioned that with Disney Wish, she was going to visit their private outlet in Castaway Cay 2 days earlier, okay, to change some things, too, instead of a sea day, which is great, too. So that's really good because they move ships around, too, okay? And also, I know that they do alter their itineraries just to ensure the waters are calmer, too. Because one thing about cruise ships, too, is they have stabilizers on their ships. What this means is this actually counteracts the roll of the waves. But once again, too, besides having stabilizers equipment on the ships to be safer, also what they do, too, is they can actually change the destinations they actually are going to avoid the storms, okay? Because once again, there are some examples I just shared, too. They alter their itineraries, okay, just to make sure the waters are calm where they're going to go to. And as far as hurricane season, one thing, too, is hurricane season actually goes in the Caribbean is between June and November, okay? So definitely, if you think about taking a future cruise, I mean, I've sailed during hurricane season. I've been on ships we had to reroute. That's fine to be safe. But also, if you're worried about that, too, then maybe just think about taking a cruise maybe in December through May, okay? But once again, too, cruise lines are very, very safe. They erupt from the storms themselves because, once again, they can switch their itineraries pretty quickly to stay out of the storms, too. But one thing I'll mention, too, is a lot of cruise lines are jumping into really, really, really helping out, okay? I want to share about that, too, okay? What they're doing is they're doing to help Jamaica. Jamaica hit so bad. It was like a 5-class storm. It was a Category 5 storm, and Hurricane Melissa made its landfall in the Caribbean in Jamaica, okay? And it was actually the strongest hurricane that ever struck Jamaica, and the catastrophic winds and floods, of course, caused massive destruction. Worst hit areas, up to 90% of the homes were damaged. Over 70% of the island lost electricity at 1.2. Also, what they're doing, too, is leading up to the storm that making the landfill, of course, all major cruise lines, of course, including Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival Cruise Line, and others, had changed their itineraries to steer clear of the storm, too. But now what they're doing, too, is the cruise industry is actually quickly stepping up to help Jamaica recover, too. Some examples, okay? Because once again, with Jamaica, there are over 1.4 million cruise passengers that visit Jamaica every year. And like I said, the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa, which took place on October 28th, multiple cruise lines have really pledged their support to help rebuild and assist the popular cruise line destination, too, okay? And Carnival Cruise Line, they pledged $1 million. Carnival Corporation, the parent company that owns Carnival Cruise Line and Holland America Line, other cruise lines, too, what they did was, along with the Harrison Family Foundation and the Miami Heat, they announced a large $1 million donation. This one is going to the Direct Relief, which is a humanitarian group that sends medical supplies and health aid to areas in need. American Line, which is a Carnival Corporation company, too, is also asking its guests to help by dedicating its onboard 5K walks called On Deck for a Cause to the Jamaica Fund, too. And this allows passengers to directly support the recovery, too. And Carnival Corporation's CEO Josh Weinstein mentioned our connection to Jamaica runs deep, and we need to support its communities now more than ever too. Okay, and as far as mentioned with the Arison Family Foundation, that's Mickey Arison's. He's part of it. Mickey Arison's father started actually Carnival Corporation 53 years ago. They have the Arison Family Foundation. They're donating money to. Also, he is the owner of the Miami Heat, and they announced a $1 million donation too. Also, Royal Caribbean, they just pledged $1 million in crew member support too. Royal Caribbean Corporation, which includes Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruises, has also pledged more than $1 million to support the relief and recovery in Jamaica. The funds are being channeled through Global Empowerment Mission, which is an organization with a Caribbean recovery team based in Kingston, Jamaica. And Royal Caribbean said they're also helping to deliver necessary supplies and aid during the recovery process. Things like water, canned goods, non-perishable foods will be coming to the island, and many Royal Caribbean ships will also be bringing the aid directly to, which is great too. In addition to all this, Royal Caribbean is also helping its crew members that are from the island, helping them connect crew members with family and loved ones too. And the cruise line just stated that there were over 1,200 of the crew members that are from Jamaica too. And Disney announces Disney Cruise Lines. They also have regular presence in Jamaica. And they also, the parent company, Walt Disney Company, just announced a $1 million contribution to support relief and recovery in Jamaica today. And the funding is being directed to nonprofit organizations such as UNICEF USA, the World Central Kitchen, Good 360, help provide essential supplies, food, and shelter. And Disney's donation is also specifically set aside to assist their own employees and crew members and families who live in the region and were impacted by the storm too. And other cruise lines are doing more too, but just want to share that right now because once again, it's a great way to give back. Once again, the cruise lines, they sail in the Caribbean, which is great too. Once again, this is a great way to really find ways to really help Jamaica, which has been so impacted by the hurricane that just took place earlier this week too. And as mentioned, they've got donations. They're, of course, Royal Caribbean's mentioned too. They're really helping employees in Jamaica and also Bahamas too, because the storms kind of go through that too. And also, like I said, in addition, their ships were also supporting relief efforts by transporting donated supplies directly to Jamaica, making sure that it reached those who are in need of it the most too, which is great. And also, every dollar donated goes towards helping the affected communities rebuild and recover too. And once again, Royal Caribbean's been in touch with the crew members who call this part of their home too, which is great too. And something else too is, like I said, I know that mentioned something about the Arison Family Foundation, and Carnival Corporation was also had donated $1 million to their direct relief too. Once again too, it's great what they're doing too, and please keep that in mind too, because there are other options as far as donations, and they need it right now more than ever. Because once again, Melissa really cut a destructive path across Jamaica on Tuesday this week after making a landfall at one of the largest, strongest Atlantis storms on record with 185 miles per hour, which is really, really horrible. Winds, heavy flooding, and Melissa was blamed for at least 7 deaths so far in the Caribbean. This was announced earlier this week too. But also, like I said, 3 in Jamaica, 3 from Haiti, and 1 actually in the Dominican Republic too. So once again, it's just finding ways to really kind of support these people that got hit by the hurricane so badly. And the cruise lines are jumping in, which is great too. But also, there are other options to think about too that are out there. So please keep them in mind too, because they're doing great things too. I know Direct Relief has prepared 100 field medic backpacks for a deployment, and Also, the Direct Relief is sharing a full medical inventory first with Jamaica's Ministry of Health too. And donations to support Hurricane Melissa relief efforts can be made too. It's called directrelief.org. So it's DIRECT, Direct Relief, RELIEF.org/support.Jamaica. So definitely look that up too. It's called, as mentioned, directrelief.org/support Jamaica. Because you can make donations there too, which is great too, because it really helps support people that were impacted by Hurricane Melissa as far as relief efforts too. I know that, as mentioned, Hurricane Melissa it actually hit Jamaica, and then I know the hurricane watch was actually issued for Bermuda, maybe by today. I'm not sure if it went through or not too, and also the other areas that maybe were in the where the hurricane was going to was actually, I think, Cuba, Bahamas, Bermuda too. We'll see, because once again, when Hurricane Melissa hit, of course, in Jamaica, it was a Category 5, which is really, really sad. Okay, once again, too, but it's really important to kind of find ways to really support those communities that got hit so bad. The cruise lines are jumping in. You can find nonprofits helping out too. So let's keep that in mind too, because once again, they really need help right now, because once again, when it comes to, devastation, losing lives, but devastation, we're trying to build those areas too, because you've got beautiful hotels in those areas too. Just once again, people have been stuck down there as far as flights, etc. So definitely keep that in mind, because once again, we need to be very aware of what we can do to help those areas in Jamaica that really need help too. I love the fact that cruise lines are jumping in like crazy. It's another good example of Good Ship Happens, because they do that, okay? They do that ongoing. What's great is the cruise lines can actually navigate out of those bad waters by taking a different itinerary. But once again, if people are down there, they live there, they're just in a very bad environment too. So, and this is ranked like Category 5 hurricane, which is really, really horrible. But also, keep in mind, please, I'll share more future episodes of Good Ship Happens, because once again, too, is we got to find ways to really help support those people that get so badly too, And as far as going back to some new ships coming out too, which is really, really fun to talk about too. Besides the new celebrity ship coming out shortly, and other ones I've talked about too is we've got some new ships coming out, of course, in 2026. 2027 and 2028, yes, because you know what, it does take some time to build ships, okay? You can't build a ship in a year. It takes longer. Once again, too, is, as mentioned, 4 seasons. It's 4 seasons 1. It's 4 seasons out. They're actually debuting next year. They postponed it till March next year. And she's going to be doing, I think, a 7-night Antilles. It's going to be featuring Antigua and also St. Lucia from Barbados to Aruba. And that's coming out, I think, in March next year. They delayed a bit, but also they've got Star Cruises' new ship. It's called the Star Seeker. I love it. And the Star Seeker is going to do her inaugural sailing, I think, December 28th this year. It's a 17-day transatlantic cruise from Malaga to Maine to Miami. And then she's going to be doing her maiden season, which is going to be Caribbean, Alaska, Japan. Also, what's great too is Emerald Cruises. They've got their Emerald Kayak. I think it's Kayak. And that's going to be just having their inaugural sailing April 4th next year. 11-day Mediterranean cruise from Cyprus to Athens. And then she'll be sailing to the Mediterranean, Adriatic Seas, Aegean Seas. And she just accommodates, which is really great too, is 128 guests. And then Norwegian Cruise Line, they've got a new ship coming out next year too in April. It's called the Norwegian Luna. And that's going to be, they haven't announced her actual inaugural sailing yet too, but it's coming out April next year. And she has a guest capacity of 3,550 guests. That sounds fun, doesn't it? And of course, then we've got a new Royal Caribbean ship coming out next year, July 2026. It's called Legend of the Seas. And I love the name, Legend of the Seas. It's like being a legend, right? A part of a legend, right, too? And I know she's going to have approximately, I think, 5,610 guests. So it's going to be one of their larger ships too, of course, too. And I think she might also have another chief dog officer. I'm not sure. Because right now Royal Caribbean has their Icon Seas, which has Rover, their chief dog officer. And then their new ship just came out earlier this year. That was their Star of the Seas, and she has Sailor on board the ship, but I'm not sure, they haven't announced it yet, but Legend of the Seas might have another chief dog officer too. And their chief dog officers, of course, are golden retrievers. Really cute, very pretty. They're trained. They're just adorable too. So keep it in mind too, because once again, if you like dogs, and I love dogs myself too, but fun to have a ship that has another chief dog officer to bring fun and happiness to the guests on board, as well as the crew members too. But Legend Seas, Royal Caribbean's new ship coming out July next year too. And I know she's going to be having summer Mediterranean cruises, and then she'll be followed by year-round Western and Southern Caribbean cruises too. So they haven't announced yet too much about that yet too, but that's really fun too. And then also we've got Four Seasons Yacht. They've got another one coming out next year, and the guest capacity of that one's going to be 190 guests. They haven't released too much yet, but it's Four Seasons Yacht. And also, we've got another Viking ship, Viking Mira, that's going to be coming out in sometime in 2026, and that is going to accommodate 998 guests. Her inaugural sailing for that was actually going to be June of 2026. She'll be sailing the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, and has 18 cabin categories too. And then Windstar Cruises has another new ship coming out. That's their Star Explorer. That's coming out in December of 2026. And they haven't revealed yet as far as her inaugural sailing, but with Star Explorer, Windstar Cruises, they're smaller ships, beautiful, and she'll have a guest capacity of 224 guests too. And then we've got, I know with MSC Cruises, their World Asia is coming out next year too. They haven't released the date she's going to sailing from, and the date she released also, they just mentioned guest capacity is going to be 6,762 guests, of course, too. Also, what's fun too is, if you're looking more luxury too, is we've got Regent Seven Seas. We've got their Seven Seas Prestige, and that's going to be coming out in 2026. They haven't actually mentioned the actual date, but she will just accommodate 850 guests, which is great. Also, we've got the American Cruise Lines. I mentioned they're actually offering these Great Lakes cruises next year, but they've got two new ships coming out next year. They've got American Maverick and American Ranger, okay, coming out next year. And once again, these are smaller ships, just 125 guests. But once again, too, is, like I said, it's really fun that American Cruise Lines is actually going to be offering these Great Lakes cruises in 2026, which is great, too. And I know that they're going to be offering that itinerary, their American Patriot, okay? And like I said, what's really great, too, is with the Great Lakes Cruises American Cruise Lines is doing this next year is, looks like you can actually get your reservation, start doing your reservation by November 21st this year, about a month away, but also you get to receive free airfare on select dates too, which is great too, so keep in mind too. Also, we've got Explorer 3. Oh yes, Explorer Journeys, which is a luxury cruise line bringing the ocean life to sea, is going to be debuting their third ship, the Explorer 3, in August next year. Her guest capacity is going to be 926 guests. And in August 3rd, she'll be sailing on her inaugural sailing. That's going to be a 7-night Barcelona to Lisbon. And then her maiden sea is going to be Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Greenland, Iceland, East Coast, USA, and Caribbean too, which is great too. And then, of course, so we're getting close to the end of this year, but also think about 2027. More ships coming up too, which is really great because new ships always excite me so much. But you can tell, right? Because good ship happens, right? Good new ship happens too. But also Explorer 4, 5, and 6 are coming out in 2027. As mentioned, Explorer Journeys is luxury, bringing ocean life to sea too. And they are smaller. Guest capacity is just 926 guests. they'll show more later on too. But they've got 3 ships coming out next year in 2027 too. And they got other ships coming out 2028 too. So that's really fun too. And then with the Norwegian Cruise Line, they've got 2 more Prima class ships coming out in 2027 and 2028. They haven't mentioned yet, but I'll show them about that later on because that would be 2027 with the Norwegian Cruise Line. That's their 2 more Prima class ships, okay? And then the Carnival Festival is coming out in 2027. And as mentioned, that's going to be coming out in 2027. Guest capacity on that is going to be 6,400 guests, okay? And as mentioned, they'll show more about that later because we're still about almost not quite 2 years out, okay? But as far as other ships coming out in 2027, so far, we've got the World America, MSC Cruises World America, and that's going to be Caribbean sailings too, just 2027. Her guest capacity is going to be 6,774 guests too. I don't know the actual itinerary yet. They haven't mentioned it yet too much, but that's good too. So, and then we've got also new ships coming out, more ships coming out with Oceania Cruises. They've got the Oceania Sonata, okay, and that's coming out summer 2027. Disney Cruise Line has a new ship coming out in 2027. And then Carnival's got their Carnival Tropical coming out in 2028 too. But we've got a lot of good ships coming out too. So that's really, really kind of fun too. New ships because once again, it's exciting what's going on too. And like the thing is, cruising has really, really come up so fast, which is great too. But that's really great too because once again, we've got new ships coming out right now. A couple more this year and then next year like crazy. But it's really fun because once again, it's great.
Lots of good ships happening, lots of things happening in that regard,
Yes.
and everything like that. And of course, it's with Halloween, so just for the fun of it, we'll give them a little bit of a Halloween message, and then we'll go out there with some other things as well, including some videos. But there's Happy Halloween for those that are celebrating, and then of course we got the
Yes.
haunted house and everything like that. So
Okay,
definitely,
great. Great.
got the Halloween spirit and all in that space. But we'll probably go out with maybe the dogs. The dogs are always fun to go
Oh
out
yes,
with.
come on, come on. I mean, who doesn't like dogs? I mean, I can't wait to see if we can have another sheepdog officer next ship with World Caribbean next year too. So,
Yeah, we'll see if there's another dog officer, but let's check out the story about the dog officers as they've
that's
been.
great. Thank you.
No problem.
As we're designing the best family vacation, there was one piece that was missing, which is, of course, the family dogs. And when guests go on vacation, one of the key things that they miss are their pets back home. And when our crew are sailing on board for their contracts, one of the things they miss are their pets back at home. And so we really wanted to make sure we brought a fluffy addition to our crew family. We went and got Rover, and here we are now for Star. We're picking up Sailor, and Sailor will be living on Star of the Seas.
Well, the Chief Dog Officer was an idea that we created actually when we were developing and concepting the Ultimate Family Townhouse. We were all sitting around saying, when you think about the Ultimate Family Townhouse, what does that mean? And all these ideas came around and somebody threw out the idea of having a family dog. And we said, well, it feels a little selfish to have a family dog for just one family. Why don't we have a family dog for the family on board the ship? And so that's how the position evolved. And we thought, well, obviously it's a very important position. And of course, all important positions on ships are called chief. So we thought Chief Dog Officer is perfect.
When we first came up with the idea for Project Rover or Project Sailor, we realized we don't really know a lot about what it means to take care of a dog on a cruise ship. And so we partnered with some of the most well-respected animal well-being certifiers globally to really help us create this program from the ground up and make sure that when Rover and Sailor are on board, they're having the best day every day.
So there's a very well-written, crafted position description that, of course, the Chief Dog Officer can't read. The key mission is to have fun, and that's exactly what Rover and Sailor do. They just have fun.
So Sailor is very small. She's about 16 weeks. And so when Sailor gets on board, she's going to, take everyone's breath away. Sailor's life on Star will be full of adventure. She and her Chief Dog Officer role really means that she gets to go and explore the ship, go and explore our private destinations with our crew members, really just being that warm, welcoming family for her.
Oh, I just totally fell in love with Sailor. I mean, I fell in love with Rover as well, but I also fell in love with Sailor. I mean, she's so beautiful and loving and funny, and so I just completely fell in love. When we were thinking about the idea, one of the questions was, well, what will the crew think? Will the crew like the idea or not? And so one of the team members had a golden retriever and volunteered to bring the golden retriever down to one of our ships on a turnaround day, and we fitted the dog with a GoPro camera. It was very touching because after when we watched the video, so many crew stopped and hugged the dog and talked to the dog. When we saw that, we thought, wow, this is amazing. People miss their own family dogs.
And as we've done with Rover, as we're doing with Sailor, we really want to make sure we're focused on what's best for these animals. And really right now our focus is on Sailor and making sure that she is having the best life at sea when she gets on Star of the Seas in August.